So let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. And it's so nice to see you all. Is that Charlene from Tupta Nobeling there? I don't think I've seen you for years. Anyway, welcome. Okay, so we've got that settled. Are you all right to do the blessing the speech tomorrow morning? Yeah, and then just to get you all in prepared for the Thanksgiving. All right, so let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. What's going on here? Okay. If everybody could mute themselves, that'd be great. Thank you. Have your feet flat on the floor, about the hips width apart, and the shoulders align with the hips. And imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light that stretch from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. Just put some space in between those vertebrae. Just lengthen your spine. Just put a bit of length in the back of the neck so your head isn't tipped too far back or tipped too far forward. You're just nice and long particularly at the base of the skull. So just bring your awareness to the crown of the head and relax the scalp, the forehead, the eyes, the eyelashes, the eyebrows, the back of the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, the mouth, the back of the tongue, the jaw, the temples, the ear, the inner ear, the back of the head. Relax the back of the neck. And allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. Relax the throat and the chest and the belly and all of your limbs. Be aware of the sounds in your environment, trying not to run off and investigate when you hear something, smell something even. And then notice the thoughts that are arising this evening. So there's probably a few of you in here who are contributing to Thanksgiving dinner. So that might be something you're thinking about right now. Shopping, planning, transporting food. What am I going to wear? So all the busyness and all the lists and the preparation and the, working out finances, all of this kind of comes quite a bit of pressure. So just imagine giving yourself some space in between all of those thoughts, in between all of your lists, in between all of the shoulds and the worries and the, is this going to be good enough? And then bring to mind all the people of your life. And, as I was saying in the previous class, our loved ones don't necessarily always end up in the friend category. So some people's relatives who you would think would be loved ones might not necessarily be so. And that's okay. So do think about the ones you love, not the ones you think you should love, but don't really. And then there's those people that we actually really don't feel comfortable with or we don't like that much. And then there's our strangers. And, remembering that these relationships can be interchangeable. No matter how we feel about all these particular people at any particular time, they're all equal. They all have this extraordinary wish to be happy. They're just like you and me. They don't want to suffer. And they all have this ability to be enlightened. So I think we'll do this practice this evening for all these people of our life, and just keep in mind all the, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of turkeys that were killed for a turkey dinner. And, I was a little bit sad to hear that, not only they're difficult to cook, not everybody likes turkey, but they just eat it anyway because that's a tradition for. So it's just it's heartbreaking. So this animal's lost its life so someone can eat a meal that they don't really want. What to think about that? So think about all those poor turkeys and the pigs and all the other animals that are kind of slaughtered for food, for festivity, for our enjoyment. And we'll do this practice for them. So you can imagine all the turkeys around us as we do the Vajrasattva practice. So think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. We create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change it by creating positivity instead. And we start with this power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others. We ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future, and we can't bear the thought of any future suffering that we ourselves will experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows, because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering. And also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance, and we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor, who has the methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we're needing the Buddha Vajrasattva to forgive us. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his medicine. So imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. And he's made of this radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He has a beautiful, radiant face, and his eyes are long, they're peaceful, and they're full of love and compassion. They're accepting you exactly as you're turning up this evening. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we've ever harmed since beginningless time. And then remember those who have harmed you and have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering sometime in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the benefit of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. So then we come to this power of remedy, and this is the actual medicine doing this practice. So we start with the body, and imagine Vajrasattva sends very compassionately, sends powerful white and nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Trita Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita trita meboa situkaya meboa sipukaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawa sidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita trita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think that there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And now we come to this purification of our speech, and imagine that Vajrasattva now very happily sends nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forces up to the top parts of your body all the negativity of your speech, and it kind of overflows quite forcefully. So imagine, all the gossip speech and harsh speech and this kind of rabbiting on about nothing, boring people to death kind of speech, and then lying, talking about people behind their backs. And imagine all of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra again. Om Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tatagata vajrama mimutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anorakta me boa sawasidi mimpi yata sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Trida Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ah Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ah Hum Pe. So feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified. And imagine it's not possible to do anything other than benefit others now with your speech. And that includes yourself because you will hear it. And next is this purification of our mind. And Vajrasattva now very compassionately sends powerful beams of light this time from his heart chakra. And this kind of arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So you imagine you walk into a room, you flick on the switch, and the light that comes instantly dispels the darkness. So imagine the same. All the light that comes from Vajrasattva's heart, it hits your heart chakra. All the darkness of the negativity of your mind completely disappears. All the attachment and neediness and anger and depression and resentment and jealousy, bitterness, grudges, all of this instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra again. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ah Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anorakta meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jida Mebawal Situkaya Mebawal Sipokaya Mebawal Anarakta Mebawal Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawakama Sitam Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Hum. Pet. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the source of all of our own suffering and the cause of why we harm others with our body and our speech, are completely purified. And think now, there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And so next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So imagine Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your consciousness as you recite the mantra again. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa anurakta meboa savasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sitam me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa savasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sitam me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa savasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sitam me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sitam me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sitam me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sitam me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra hum pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita drida meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sitam me sitam shriyam kuru hum ha ho bhagavan sawatata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra hum pe. So now feel you are completely purified. And imagine there's not one atom of negative energy in your mind stream. So even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to this power of resolve. And this is the fourth and final step in the purification process. And it's a really crucial one. And this is this determination to not harm with our body and our speech and our mind. So we really just need to decide. And without this determination, without making a decision that we want to refrain from harming, we will keep falling back to our old habit energies, our old patterns, our old habits. So decide, first of all, rejoice in your efforts for coming along tonight. So we have people from many, a number of different time zones. So I have to say, you people on the East Coast, it's, 11:30 at night. It's late. So much appreciation for your coming along. And well, I guess also everyone in Mountain Time, it's also very late. So well done, everybody. So rejoice in your efforts and everybody else's efforts. And then think of something you'd like to work on. And maybe this is just kind of the week where it might be particularly stressful for some people who have big families and big cooking jobs and meals to plan, things to figure out how to wear. So, maybe you can think about refraining from something around that. And maybe it's also this negative self-talk, something like that. Anyway, just think of something you'd like to work on between now and tomorrow. And then imagine Vajrasattva's delighted with us, wants to merge with your mind, melts into white light, and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche would recommend meditating on emptiness. So think, in emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. And you can also think, the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So let's just do our, all right. Chanting the names of Manjushri, protector reigning over all 10 grounds, residing steadily on all 10 grounds, made pure in nature by the tenfold knowledge, maintaining purity through tenfold knowledge, with tenfold forms intent on tenfold content, with tenfold strength, pervasive, Lord of sages, achieving every aim for every being, endowed with tenfold mastery, supreme, beginningless complexity, devoid by nature pure, reality in essence, unwavering, a speaker of the truth, with speech and actions perfectly aligned. Okay, everyone. So let's just have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, and then for the swift return of our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then for all of your own personal teachers. And there's a couple of chats down here. Dedicate for Lorraine to get the librarian job, or at least a decent paying job that won't stress you out. Well done. Okay. And Thanksgiving to all. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. So lots of love, everyone. And thank you for hosting. I think it was Michael. And I will see you all tomorrow morning for our speech blessing. Okay. Thanks, everyone.